She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes.
Slow down.
She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes.
Slow down.
She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes.
Slow down.
And we'll all go out to meet her when she comes.
Howdy.
Yeah, we'll all go out to meet her when she comes.
Howdy.
Yeah, we'll all go out to meet her, and we'll all go out to meet her, and we'll all go out to meet her when she comes.
Howdy.
And we'll have a great big party when she comes.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, we'll have a great big party when she comes.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, we'll have a great big party, and we'll have a great big party, and we'll have a great big party when she comes.
Yeehaw.
We'll be singing hallelujah when she comes.
Hallelujah.
We'll be singing hallelujah when she comes.
Hallelujah.
We'll be singing hallelujah. We'll be singing hallelujah. We'll be singing hallelujah when she comes.
Hallelujah.
She'll be coming round the mountain when she
All
comes.
aboard.
She'll be coming round the mountain when she
All
comes.
aboard.
She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes.
All aboard.
Well, shake it up, baby, now.
Shake it up, baby.
Twist and shout.
Twist and shout.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now.
Come on, baby.
Come on and work it on out.
Work it on out.
You know you look so good.
Look so good.
You know you look so fine.
Look so fine.
You know you got me going now.
Got me going
Just like I knew you would.
like I knew you would.
Well, shake it up, baby, now.
Shake it up, baby.
Twist and shout.
Twist and shout.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now.
Come on, baby.
Come on and work it on out.
Work it on out.
Well, shake it up, baby, now.
Shake it up, baby.
Twist and shout.
Twist and shout.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now.
Come on, baby.
Come on and work it on out.
Work it on out.
You know you look so good.
Look so good.
You know you look so fine.
Look so fine.
You know you got me going now.
Got me going
Just like I knew you would.
like I knew you would.
Well, shake it up, baby, now.
Shake it up, baby.
Twist and shout.
Twist and shout.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now.
Come on, baby.
Come on and work it on out.
Work it on out.
Starting here in about 1 minute.
Rattle and roll. I said shake, rattle and roll. I said shake, rattle and roll. I said shake, rattle and roll. Well, you never do nothing to save your doggone soul. Well, get out from that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Yeah, get out from that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. We'll roll some breakfast, 'cause I'm a hungry man.
All right. Good morning, Salina City. How's it going? I am Mr. Cassidy. It's nice to see you guys again. We are here for our special session. I think I put 6, but I think this might be 5 But anyway, whatever. It's good to see you guys. And let's go ahead and flip it on over to our guest today, and Mr. Griffin. So here we go. Let's see here. There they are. Say hi, Mr. Griffin.
Good morning. How you doing? I'm just. It's going to be hard for me to hear with all these people behind me today. We'll
Mr.
see.
Griffin, you seem to not be social distancing very well over there.
No, they're at least 6 feet, so we're good.
6 feet
But
away
they're-
from you, I guess. That's true.
I'm fine, but they're not doing a very good job back there.
And we have a special guest today. Mr. Griffin, why don't you introduce our special guest today?
Our special guest, he's actually, you know him, some of you from before, Mr. Rivas. He's the drummer in the Light Fighters, former drummer for the Light Fighters. Say hi, Mr. Rivas.
Hello, I'm Mr. Rivas, everybody.
And Mr. Rivas is, any questions you have, especially for you drummers and percussionists today, that's right up Mr. Rivas's alley right there. So hopefully we have some questions for any aspiring drummers or percussionists.
Sure. Yeah, I know a great deal about gear. So, I go to the NAMM shows all the time. I haven't been in the past couple of years. Yeah, ask away.
Ooh, that's an interesting thing to talk about. We should. I'm interested in that. We should talk about that in a bit. But before we get started, I did want to say, remember that on these days, I can already see some people talking in the chat and saying they're feeling good today, Mr. Griffin, answering your question. Remember that we have a chat open. The chat is for questions, so make sure you make use of that. And please go ahead if you got anything you want to ask Mr. Rivas or Mr. Griffin or myself. Please do so in chat, but use it responsibly, please. Mr. Griffin, you want to start us off?
All right. Well, here's kind of a loaded question right out the gate here, but who influenced you the most musically in your life? Who was your biggest influence?
Is that like a single person or a band?
It could be either. Or single person that person maybe that you watched on TV, person that who's like, I would, if I was going to guess, I would guess that the drummer from Led Zeppelin, but
he's amazing. His sound was very explosive. He went on to inspire a lot of other drummers. Kind of had a domino effect when it finally came to me. Between him and Billy Cobham, you had Danny Carey, of course. It's Tool, and I love them, and like Mike Portnoy, and in a progressive rock session. But there's really a lot, Mike Mangini, the new drummer for Dream Theater. Even though that's not really my style, I really love watching them. My style is kind of more like grunge 90s or like old school type stuff, with things with feel. I'm not that more of a technical player, although I can do a little bit, but it's not like I just really like the flow of the beats and getting to be expressively creative.
did you have a drum teacher or did you go to lessons or something like that?
I had a few. My first one was Shannon Marquis down at Wise Music, and that was before I actually worked there. And then a really good friend of mine, Tim Burke, who's still around, he's over in San Jose, and he played drums for local bands, like Retribution, Pride Subject, shout out to him.
Nice. Did you start basically by, did you have a drum kit when you were a kid? Or did you kind of just start on, like some people say they start on their, like on a pillow with some sticks or something like that?
I had a combination. When my godmother bought me a drum set when I was a little kid, maybe 5 or 6, but it was a toy drum set from Toys R Us. So obviously that got destroyed fairly quickly. And then I got it with like the neighborhood kids, and so sports kind of became a thing because, as you know me, I'm a very social person. So getting to play drums or music when you got to practice by yourself. Not that it didn't get inspiring. I just really didn't know what I was doing, but I had a lot more fun playing with the kids, neighborhoods, and then playing video games. And then eventually back in high school, I picked it back up again. And then, yeah.
When was the first time you ever played drums? How old were you?
Well, excluding the time when I was about 5 or 6, because I don't really remember that one per se, but I want to say probably around high school. I know I wanted to play in middle school. Well, I knew I wanted to play music in middle school. I just didn't know what I was good at the time. I really wanted to try to sing, except that I was not very good for almost ever up until recently.
Yeah, see, I've heard you sing. You're a good singer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It took a lot of work to get to where I'm at now. Obviously, I love guitar. I'm just not that great at it. But drums came natural to me, so I kind of gravitated towards that, and so that's kind of what I did. Yeah.
Nice. Mr. Cassidy, you have another question for him?
I think maybe a follow up on that too is I think the boys and girls watching, if they're considering playing drums and stuff, did you end up playing like in a school band or anything like that to start with as well, or do any percussion for the band or anything, or did you go straight to just lessons and kind of get into more rock stuff?
The funny thing is, like I said, I really wanted to play guitar, except for the band that I was first playing. It was called Leaving Ground. They had 2 amazing guitar players already. I mean, they had Gabriel Michael Teguera, which is my brother, and Brandon Waddell, which is, of course, my brother. I mean, not related, but I definitely treasure them. However, I was just starting out, and they were already playing full-on Metallica songs, and I was like, scratch that. So then I tried singing, and that didn't turn out very well. And then to a point to where a drum set kind of came into my life. My mom was babysitting for someone she knew, and they were moving to Oregon, and the owner of the house had got another drum set, and so he had this other kit that he was wanting to get rid of. So my dad and I helped him pack up his house and all that stuff, because my dad, he's a truck driver, and he transports things, and all I think we did was just packed it up for him, and then he was able to do the rest. However, yeah, that was the exchange that we had, and it was a CB700 drum set. But the funny thing about it is it came with the Ludwig Acrolite snare, and I thought the whole time up until like a while ago that the whole kit was a Ludwig kit. But no.
Which are pretty nice kits. Yeah, nice drum kits.
I definitely prefer. I'm not sponsored by them, but I definitely love their hardware, and of course, I mean their legendary sound. I mean, sounds amazing. Matter of fact, when we were recording for the first time, we were A and Bing them to some drummers that had Ludwig drums, and I was like, they sound killer. I mean, not that I wasn't paying attention before, but amazing the way that record was made. It sounded great.
Yeah, it takes a lot to record drums, and it takes actually, a lot of drummers. They have I guess you would think that it's a one size fits all type of thing for somebody that doesn't really know a lot about drums, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into each part of the kit, the snare and the cymbals and the kick drum and all of that stuff.
Even tuning, the way you hit it, the way you even set it up for recording too. It's like if you have your cymbals too close to your toms, you get that wash in there. So I mean, it's in the studio and playing live are 2 different animals. I love both, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to keep in mind, is that the way you prepare a studio drum set would be differently than how you were to have the same kit live,
right?
Or at least wise. It's what I mean.
Basically, so being a drummer is much more. You have to invest a little bit more, both money and into learning how to set up your equipment and stuff.
I mean, not always, but I mean, to get a better result, yes. That was always what I was obsessed about. That I mean, I really wanted to try to present myself the best that I can with the best gear that I can afford. And I always kept pushing that forward. I'm sure you know this, John. You've seen me go through a few things years that we played together, and it's just I've always been obsessed with sound and tone. Just to try to get the best results, because I also do love recording, and on the other side of the glass, as they would say, studio, from the recording aspect to capturing the sound. It's very interesting to me to try to get the best sound organically, so you don't have to modify it too much. It just sounds natural and airy, and you just get a feel from it. That if you try to, what is that, like, have like a drum program do it for you. I mean, it'll sound good, but I mean, it won't feel good, and you won't even be able to explain it why. But maybe that's just me, because that's my area of expertise.
Kind of losing that human element to it, probably, and that's the feel. Yeah. And at the end of the day, of course, like you were saying, we talked about kind of an affordable kit, that kind of thing for kids, but I think, I've heard a lot of drummers say, oh, I just started, just kind of getting a couple pencils and making rhythms on a pillow or something like that. Like, buying a used kit just to start, just so you can get your feet wet a little bit, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember being a kid in Chinese restaurants using those little sticks on the table.
Yeah.
Something,
I think a lot of us can relate to that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much to our parents' probably hatred.
Yeah. Exactly.
You went over some instruments you played, Manny. Is there, I guess the question then, because you kind of already said this, and I think we can assume what your favorite instrument is. But can you tell us what your favorite instrument is and what other instruments you play? Just kind of list them out here.
Yeah, I mean, drums is drums is the one I spent the most time investing in, that's for sure. And it's probably my favorite because I can play it. I'm much more expressive on the drums as far as the language goes, because music is a language, as you know, and the more vocabulary you know, the more you can speak it. As far as guitar goes, I'm not very good at it, like I said earlier, but I have a lot of fun with it, and I love guitar players, and mostly Les Paul players. I mean, I love all kinds, but I really love a good Les Paul and a good Marshall. But singing, I absolutely love. And bass playing a little bit. I'm not that great at that either, but like guitar and bass, understanding the fretboard would go hand in hand. So I mean, eventually, when I get the time, I'll invest more time into that and definitely have more fun with that.
Yeah, it seems like all the musicians we've been talking to, they play multiple instruments. That's kind of the fun of music. Once you get one thing down, like for, I've been able to play a little bit of drums, kind of watching you a little bit, just keep a basic beat now. And I'm more of a piano guitar player, but, just learning from other musicians is kind of cool because, once you kind of get the foundation of one instrument, it seems like a lot of musicians will branch out to another one, so it's, or several, even some musicians,
One can say it almost becomes addictive.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes.
I mean, even that, or even collecting gear, it becomes
the rabbit hole that you don't talk about until, becomes a problem.
Yes. Yes.
Stuff with gear. I love it. I'm invested. That's for sure.
What were because you're a younger guy. I say younger compared to me, of course. But how did you listen to music growing up? I mean, talking about like CD, records, cassettes. What was your main way of listening to music?
When I was a kid, the radio was a big part of it. Because we didn't have internet yet.
Yep.
And we me and my dad cruised around in his Trans Am, which I thought was the coolest car. There's Smokey in the back. all that. But
Burt
he was
Reynolds, yeah.
Eagles and Beatles and Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, all the classic stuff, and even the Bee Gees. And then eventually, I started collecting my own stuff, and then that became in the form of CD, and then eventually it went to iPod Digital, and then now it's a lot of YouTube because it's just easier that way for me. But for me, I still love collecting physical copies of things. I mean, as you can see behind me, it's a DVD collection. But yeah, I like physical copies of things, But that's now it's kind of like evolution of that.
All right, this one might be a tough one. What is your favorite song right now, or favorite band, or maybe you could even just tell us what have you been listening to a lot lately?
I kind of been listening to some Metallica a lot lately. Yeah, I've always loved Metallica, always have. They kind of never go away. They're always on my YouTube. And Hailstorm's really awesome. I've been checking them out too. It's because they're newer on my radar, but they're really high energy.
Are they more of a heavy metal band? Hailstorm?
Yeah. I wouldn't say like heavy metal, but they are heavy. They definitely play alongside with heavy metal a lot. But yeah, I'd say, yeah, check them out. They're pretty cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and when you say Metallica, of course, we did a couple lessons about Metallica this year, but just to refresh everyone's memory, we're talking really, really distorted guitars, kind of that fuzzy sounding guitar, the big booming drums, and the kind of the heavy, even distorted bass lines, and kind of the almost screaming type singing too, right? So that's where you get the harder rock or the heavy metal kind of stuff, and that's right up your alley with that kind of playing too, right?
Yeah, it definitely resonates within me for sure. Here and there during either practice or even a show.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would you say? I think boys and girls, actually, before I ask this question, we do have a little bit of lag going on here with the stream, as in when you're hearing it's a little bit after us. So I'm going to ask this now before we ask our kind of last question here, which is if you got anything you want to ask Mr. Rivas here about drums, about drum stuff, about, kit, as he said, he knows a lot about the gear. So if you want to ask him about that, if you want to ask Mr. Griffin or I anything, now is the time. Make sure that you put a question into the chat so that we can answer it before we're done here. Actually, I just remembered there was another question I wanted to ask. But I'm going to ask this one first. What advice would you give to aspiring musicians? Musicians who want to play drums, maybe in your case, right? What advice would you give?
Yeah, well, if you don't have a kit, start with sticks and then learn some rudiments, because when you can learn rudiments, you can apply it to the kit, and it becomes really fun. And it's like building that language, like I was saying, that vocabulary. The more words you know, the more fluent you can be when you play with other musicians or have a conversation, if you will. And yeah, that'd be one of the better things. And if you do have a kit, then utilize how to practice all your limbs, because that's how you play. You have your right arm, left arm, and then your feet as well. And then if you want to bring it up a notch, you can have a double bass setup, which is what I love. And, yeah, and you just kind of build yourself up from there. It never really ends. You're always continuously learning, and the more you learn, the more fun it becomes, the more other things you can do, and then the more expressive you can be. So and then the other thing I would say is find friends you can play with, so that way you can feed off of each other. And maybe the person who's asking is a drummer, but maybe you want to get a band when you get good, and then you guys can push each other, and then you guys can build it from there.
Great.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks. And I did have one question, because you brought it up earlier. You brought up Nam. Can you explain what that is?
Oh yeah. Okay.
You weren't in the war, right?
And for for you sixth graders, we learned about Vietnam. This is a lot.
This is a different thing.
Much different thing here.
So it stands for National Association of Music Merchants. It's a trade show that happens every January, the third week, and it happens in Anaheim, and it's a gigantic convention. And they have two of those in the stateside. The other one is held in Nashville in the summertime. Although I've never really gone to that, it's a much smaller version of that. However, the one in winter is the one in January here, and it's basically any company who has anything that has to do with music to sell. Obviously, guitars, basses, drums, kazoos, anything you can think of music related. This is basically a huge presentation for everybody. So, and it's not really open to the public. It's more for like people who own businesses and artists that go there because with the people who have businesses, like in the case of the local store, Wise Music is how I discovered it, was he would go there and look for things to sell in his store, and that was the purpose of that. And as an artist, the purpose of that is to promote the product. And then so it has this osmosis of just music flowing back and forth to bring out to everybody. So this is basically the show for that, and that's more or less why it's really not open to the public, because the show is crazy enough as it is. I mean, it takes up I think 4 or 5 halls, and in each hall you can fit 4 football fields in one hall. 4 stories of that, and even 2 hotels that are right next to it is always full of people there. And yeah, I mean, I got to work my way up from discovering the show to working for a music store that got me access to that store, to being able to work for one of the companies there. And I probably would still be there if they didn't merge with another company for distribution reasons, because they didn't really need me after that. But that's kind of NAMM in a nutshell.
Very cool. Thanks for answering that.
Really cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any questions on here today. So I think Mr. Griffin and Mr. Rivas, I think that might be it for today. Mr. Rivas, is there anything you want to say that we didn't cover today that you have on your mind or want to say to the kids or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you really get into this music thing, make sure you love it, because sometimes it doesn't love you. That wild, and I always say that with love, because I mean, just like anything that you do, you know, like you just either go for it, you know, and put everything you have into it, because you know, it's just competition is fierce out there, and you know, it's just basically to be ready for an opportunity is what I'm trying to say. You know, so just really put the time in and really get yourself ready for when something does come along, and that way you won't get to miss out on that. So I mean, I think that could be a prime example of actually Zakk Wylde when he was getting picked up. Obviously he plays guitar, but he got picked up by Ozzy. He worked at a gas station. So I mean, but this is of course like probably never going to happen again. But what I'm saying is that do it, and then do videos, get yourself out there, promote, and then kind of see where it goes, because half the reason I wanted to be a musician was because I get to travel with my bros, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Obviously music and meeting a lot of interesting people. But yeah, I mean, there could be definitely great opportunities out there, but just be ready for it.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed. And maybe one day you'll be playing to my group here behind me. You might even get to do this, crowd surfing.
Pretty cool.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Oh boy.
I had to do it, Mr. Cassidy.
You did, and I liked it. It was great. Oh boy. Anyway, so boys and girls, it was. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you, Mr. Rivas, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Rivas.
And we will see you guys on Monday. yeah, Monday, you can see Mr. Griffin, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Google Meet. You can see me here doing sing-alongs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10. My guitar, ukulele, and recorder classes. Those are going on at 11 a.m. here on YouTube. And yeah, you can see our special session next week where we will have another and new special guest. So until next time, I will see you guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And yep, have a good one.
Peace
Bye.
and love. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.
I said shake, rattle and roll. Woo! 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 Well, you never do nothing to save your doggone soul. I said shake, rattle and roll. Woo! I said shake, rattle and roll. Woo! I said shake, rattle and roll. Woo! I said shake, rattle and roll. Well, you never do nothing to save your doggone soul. I said shake,